This is the 2024 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Beer Experiment, Fruited American Wheat. Thanks to our sponsors. 5 Star Chemicals. Check out the interactive cleaning guides and learn more about their newest product, Liquid PBW, on their official website, www.5starchemicals.com. Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Supply Store. Beer and Wine has one of the biggest yeast selections around and boasts an extensive list of homebrew beer kits to make clones of some of your favorite beers. Check them out at www.beer-wine.com and tell them Brewtubers sent you in the order comment box. Let's get sipping.
Hello YouTube, Kurt from Fermentation Adventures, coming back again to wrap up the Brewtubers 2024 Fruit Experiment Strawberry Wheat Ale. I will probably, I'm sure in the description for this video there will be a link to the playlist. Shouldn't be too difficult to find on my channel. You can see all the videos that I've recorded. There was 10 of them in total. There is a playlist on right now brewtubers.com front page is a playlist to across the club, all the videos, and on let's say if you find the Brewtubers YouTube channel, there's that same playlist is there as well. If you want to review what's going to be end of the day, there should be 90 something videos up there. So this is kind of a recap. I'm going to talk about my opinion on trying the beers, about how I've split them up into sort of tiers in a very unlikely to use this approach for strawberry or fruit. I might use this approach for as another tier, and then definitely I would use this approach going forward if I was trying to do another fruit beer. Basically the ones, again, it might not be the beers that necessarily I thought were the best. I mean, we're not going to talk about that here. I mean, really, I'm talking about which approaches to adding the strawberry, adding the fruit to the beer resulted in the most successful result, let's say, of putting fruit in the beer itself. So that's kind of the idea. First, I think the most interesting thought I had, at least, is as far as strawberry in beer. You know, I think some of the beers were definitely successful. In a strawberry wheat ale, I really don't have much desire to brew another one of these. I do have some leftover ingredients from my experiment, and the next beer up, once I get through my current lager, you know, as I look over at my fermenters, as I get through my current lager log jam in production, which I have 15 gallons fermenting, or really starting the lagering process here now. The next one up is going to be, I'm going to try to do a Berliner Weiss with some of the strawberry product that I didn't use. More on that as I go through here. So anyway, I do have a couple of beers left here. I do have 1 can of Billy's beer, is Brewtubers Experiment beer, which was 30 ounces of frozen whole strawberries that he added at cold crash and held at 38 degrees for 3 days. And I still have a few cans of mine. Again, just the masking tape label. I didn't print out any more labels. I do have my cheat sheet. This is the labels for mine. Ravel and Toulette. You want know more about the name, you can find my video and watch that. Let me crack these open, and I think it's only fair if I go back in that. I just opening Billy's here. Nice big hiss, some nice foam coming out of the can. Billy's was really well carbonated. Again, based on his approach, I don't know if there was a little bit of fermentation action that happened in the can. I don't know, I'll leave that up to him if he thinks it's the case, but yeah, it's very well carbonated, lots of head, and that was with a very easy pour. His can was very tight. Mine is actually kind of tight here. This is must have been one of the better ones. I have had these cans out of the fridge for a little bit, let them warm up. Let's see how, a little hiss, and if I pour, yeah, again with mine, I still see a little bit of a subtle pinkish hue. Again, kind of clear from sitting in the fridge. And again, on the nose, I'm getting some, I'm not getting, you know, I know some folks have said they were getting a lot of fruit for mine, at least at this point right here, not a whole lot. If you do a side by side, you can see here, these are both shaker pints. You know, at least to my eye, Billy's is super clear. Mine is pretty clear, but it's a little subtle haze. Billy's is closer to straw. Mine has a little subtle hue to it that's making it somewhat gold. But anyway, already chewing away at the time here. So let's get through these. I'll sip through these, so maybe when I get to them. Again, my beer and Billy's beer were in the definitely tier, so probably a little bit more on that when I get up to it. So I'll start with the very unlikely to use tier. Again, no particular order, but out of the 10, these would be the bottom third. So this would be, you know, no order, 8, 9, 10. So in here I had both Matts, Matt from Wreck Brewing with the Candy Bonbon, and Matt from Irondale with the freeze-dried powder. And then I had Andrew from Running on Beer with the stabilized Da Vinci syrup, his stabilized beer, and added Da Vinci syrup, a whole bottle of it to the keg just before, or, you know, at packaging time. Again, Matt's, the candy, was added to the end of the boil. Matt's at Wrecked was at the end of the boil. I think Matt at Irondale added the powder right around packaging time. Basically, why am I very unlikely to use these? A lot of fun, you know. Matt at Rex was a lot of fun. The Candy Bonbon. Again, it was a fun approach. I can't see myself repeating it just because, you know, again, basically the sugar in the candy really drove the recipe out of whack, added a bunch of sugar, you know, so I think it might be something that, you know, unless you did it a lot, it might be a little bit hard to account for in your recipe. Again, and it did come off tasting a little artificially to me. Matt's with the freeze-dried powder, again, he added, I think it was, if I recall, it was in the recommended range, and it really kind of was super intense, really came off as artificial, even though I believe it's really a real strawberry product. Again, wasn't terribly enjoyable. And Andrew's Running on Beer, again, very successful brewed. He came out exactly as he wanted it. It was super, you know, again, no re-fermentation after packaging and everything in the bottle. But again, for me, the mouthfeel and the sweetness of the overall beer itself, it just really made it not that enjoyable for me. At least for, you know, a wheat beer, you're looking for something that's nice and well carbonated. With you know, you really would be looking to drink it typically on a nice summer warm day. That type of beer should really hit the spot. And in Andrew's case, it just, to me, it was almost it was coming off as a very heavy beer. I'm thinking stout. Again, most stouts are not typically that heavy, but it was just it seemed really kind of out of character for what I would expect for a wheat beer. So again, I don't think I'd be very unlikely to use those. So again, you can see Billy's beer here, the head has dropped down. So let's pour some more in here. And again, compare the two. If I look at the bubbles coming up, yeah, a lot more carbonation going on in Billy's. It's really kind of neat. So again, cheers. I'll try my beer again. First time I had it in a while. Okay. Yeah, now that it's, you know, I guess been in the glass, open up a little bit, I definitely get the strawberry on the nose. Yeah, and the strawberry and the flavor probably makes it fairly strawberry forward, which is probably a little bit more than what I was going for. I definitely wanted to notice the strawberry, but I still wanted it to taste like a beer. And the finish is really, it just peters out and just it's kind of watery. But again, you can watch my video for that. Let's see, tasting Billy side by side. Yeah. Yeah, this is, again, I'm getting There's definitely more of a tart character in here. It could be from the whole strawberries. Could be from a little bit of re-fermentation in the can. I don't know. But I really like it. It's kind of everything about Billy's beer right now compared to mine. It makes it more interesting to drink, to be quite frank with you. So, so anyway, let's see. Continue on. All right, so the next tier, maybe use. So this is in the category of, I think that, I don't think the beers, again, none of the beers came out bad. But I think the additives, there was somewhat success. In here I have Nick's at Exit 12, Jerry at Brewmaster Jerry's, and Drew at the Underground Brewery. Sorry, I keep wanting to say Underground Brewer, but it is the Underground Brewery. Again, Nick's used some extract. I know he really didn't like the extract that he used. I thought the beer was fine. The strawberry was just faint. I didn't think it really wrecked the overall experience. But again, there could have been a somewhat difference of, again, he was drinking it from the keg and we had cans and whatever. But again, I didn't think it was that bad. It was just very faint. So it might work. Again, I'm not sure the exact extract that he used, but it wasn't great. According to him, I thought it was fine. It was just really faint. It was almost like, why bother adding, that amount to the beer? I think it needed to be bumped up to, add some additional, a little bit of additional fruit flavor to the overall package. Jerry used the freeze-dried powder in a very similar manner that Matt at Irondale did. Obviously, it was a different product because based on the raw amounts that was added, Jerry added twice as much, and the intensity with his was a lot lower than Matt's. Again, the freeze-dried powder, it did come off as not, after trying a bunch of these, noticeably not tasting exactly like the real fruit does. But it, I think it was a good beer, and it was, certainly more enjoyable than Matt's because again, the intensity was ratcheted down. And again, it kind of melded better with the overall beer, and thinking back on it, than Matt at Irondale did. So again, I might use that approach. Again, the freeze-dried powder, I still think it's lacking behind any of the real fruit examples we tried, but again, it was, it's not too bad. And then again, this would be, and then the other one was Drew's. Now Drew used whole strawberry. He added 2 pounds, I believe it was. I didn't take note of it here, but he added it with like 15 minutes left in the boil. Again, we did get strawberry character from it. I think the overall kind of part of the problem, while it's great that the strawberry was, basically pasteurized or, sanitized during the boil, so it wasn't going to affect or come through as any sort of re-fermentation in the package down the line. But it just basically, it seemed like there was something missing from the strawberry in the beer itself. It didn't seem come off as expressive as whole strawberry or any of the purees that were added after the fact, on the cold side. So again, I think I'm actually surprised. I think it worked better than I thought it would. Everything I've heard about, people say never add fruit in the boil for blah 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 whatever reason, but wasn't horrible by any means. But it did seem to be based on his parameters that he shared with us. It was one of the higher ABV beers, and it definitely seemed like it added to the boil, and being in the boil definitely freed up the sugars to really drive the ABV close. I think it was either 7% or right around the 7% range, so it kind of made things a little out of whack there. So again, this would be the middle tier, and this would have been, ranked no particular order at 5, 6, 7, 8. I might use these approaches. Again, I definitely would go for the whole fruit approach, but again, these could be valid if for some reason, I don't know, in the future, in the year 2000, when the price of fresh whole strawberries go up to $20 a pound. Maybe we can come back to some of these approachable, except for Drew. Drew used whole strawberry. But anyway, so moving on now to the definitely would use. Yeah, it's pretty good. The top four, again, in an approach I definitely would use, trying to add some fruit into a beer if so inclined, particularly with a wheat beer. That top tier, again, I have in no particular order, would be Billy at Gamdude, Chris at Burgles Brewing, Dave at Big Dog Brewing, and me at Fermentation Adventures. So again, going in kind of reverse order I have here. Now again, just to recap on mine, I used aseptic fruit puree, from asepticfruitpuree.com. I checked it again. I used half of the package, which was 2 pounds, 2 ounces. The 4.4 pound package I used, or 2 kilogram package, costs $30 right now. So it's definitely a pricey approach if you're going to go down that route, because again, there is that puree product, and I did use some of this amaretti natural flavor. Looking back on it, this wasn't, I wanted to do puree and extract for, kind of layering in the flavors to steal some language Billy used. But again, it's kind of a similar idea where you get some real fruit flavor in there. It's going to be added at a time where maybe the yeast is going to interact with it and cut down, ferment some of the sugars that are in there. So you come up with a extract product to kind of balance out or brighten up the strawberry or the fruit. This one, if I would have found this initially, I probably should have just used this, because again, this is intended to be a kind of a puree replacement after I read the product information about it. I don't know if they claim it's a puree itself, but it's supposed to be, if I'm recalling correctly, you can use this in adding in smaller amounts, and it would be comparable to using an actual puree. And again, you're not using real fruit. The actual fruit, it's a smaller package, is easier to deal with. If I smell it, it smells like strawberry, but again, it has some of the same fake, quote unquote fake notes that I noticed from kind of the freeze dried powder. So yeah, this is kind of would be if I do the experiment again, I know about this, I would have probably just used this instead of going with the puree route. I'm looking around. I originally had planned on using a Lorian baking emulsion as the kind of extract component, and once I ordered it and it came in, it had glycol in it. It had a lot of food coloring in it. It had some beet juice extract, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to add that ingredient to a beer that I'm going to brew. So I passed on that, and then I found this. Again, this bottle is 8 ounces. I used 2 ounces of it, but again, it was like a $15 bottle based on current pricing. So the approach I went with is kind of, I went with the aseptic fruit puree because it's supposed to be aseptic. You can add it to the beer, and you don't need to worry about quote unquote infecting it. But again, overall it was a more expensive approach, I think, than probably just getting some actual strawberry and using it. But again, it came out pretty good. I did send the beer off to a few competitions. It didn't win anything. It got some decent feedback. It scored in I think it was consistently scoring in the low 30s. And again, I think part of the reason why is it's a nice beer, but it's not really anything super great or super interesting. So I think when you're adding it in a fruit category, it's probably getting blown out by probably some more exciting fruit type beers that might be in the same category, fruited sours and stuff like that, maybe. Or maybe they just didn't like it. But so it goes. I know people taste it, liked it, but again, everything was a lot of great beers in this experiment. So next was Dave at Big Dog. He did 4 pounds of fruit. I think he bought fresh fruit, froze it, then pureed it, added at cold crash. Great character. It worked well. There's nothing crazy going on. no infections, no whatever like that. So again, valid approach. Not that dissimilar to what I did. It's just he used the actual fruit, made his own puree, and I used the product that's probably acidified or whatnot. Chris at Burgles, he used 5 pounds essentially in the whirlpool at flame out. His overall aesthetically was probably the best look. It had crazy haze stability that stuck around, unlike these other beers that you put in the fridge and the haze either completely goes or it's light. His was really, really hazy beer, really good looking wheat beer. But that's approach again. Adding at flame out, a lot of the fruit character came through. His had a lot of fruit character, and interestingly enough, it didn't really seem to go in that route. Didn't really seem to drive off the ABV of the final beer. It did. His final gravity was a little higher than some of ours. Again, Billy's was at 1053. Mine, I believe, was at 1054. Yeah, no, mine was actually 1049. Yeah, mine was 1049. I think Chris's was in. Oh, it wasn't 1060, but it was kind of getting up there, and his ABV was almost 6%. But again, it was a really, really successful approach. It was a really good beer. And then again, finally is Billy's here. And Billy, as I mentioned before, he froze strawberries, added a cold crash, and it was cold crash for 3 days. And again, his beautiful, it doesn't look like any of the strawberry color came through to the beer, but really great, beautiful head, a beautiful white head on it. It's really persisting, really around the ring of the glass. So for a wheat beer, these are all very desirable traits. Clarity, not so much maybe, but again, that's because things settled out in the can. And probably won't do it here, but I'll probably rouse it up and add it in. So again, that was it. So, again, as we rank these, any of these approaches with the real fruit or the puree, definitely successful, definitely the best of the bunch as far as the strawberry coming through. So that's what I would use. Again, no particular order I have here. Billy Gamdud, Chris at Burgles Brewing, and Dave at Big Dog, and then me at Fermentation Adventures. Again, shocker, this is a kind of approach with the puree, and because again, sometimes I use the Oregon canned fruit or whatever they're calling it these days, but definitely like a stabilized, sanitized puree. I've done it times in the past as my approach. So let's wrap it up there. I don't want to belabor it too long because I shockingly went on. I can see over here, I know the end video is probably not gonna be this long, but I've been recording comments for 26 minutes, which is kind of scary. But the experiment was a lot of fun. If you're interested in these type of experiments, check out brewtubers.com, or look in the Brewtubers socials for links to the Discord. Drop in the Discord, it's completely free. If you enjoy the Discord, you might want to consider becoming a full paid member and then get full access to the Discord, be able to take part in experiments like this. If you want to record it, or come to our meetings, our happy hours, our annual brew unions as a full member. It's a lot of fun. Great group of guys and a great lady as current club members. Again, so if you're a lady and you're interested in brewing and home brewing, you can join too. There's kindred spirit for you, and we would love to welcome more women in the club. And next, finally, big thanks to our sponsors, Beer and Wine Hobby at beer-wine.com. Check out their site. Great homebrew supply shop. They really help drive these experiments. Again, we typically buy all our ingredients from them. We get a discount, members get a discount, and again, it's just worked out great. And our other sponsor, 5 Star Chemicals, you don't need to, anyone in brewing should know their products. Great cleaners, cleaning products, PBW, liquid PBW is awesome. And SaniClean is another awesome product. It is not an EPA rated sanitizer, but you can use it as a sanitizer. So if you own conicals or some sort of fermenter that you can do a clean in place, SaniClean is an awesome clean in place sanitizer that that I use and a lot of other folks use. So with that, let's wrap it up. It's talked long enough. Please please subscribe to my channel. You can click the bell button to get notified. And thanks for paying attention to putting up with me if you made it this far. We'll be back next year, and I'm going to try to make some more regular content for the rest of the year. I do have some things already queued up in mind, and we'll go from there. So, cheers.